Hello friends, welcome back to Wow IAS. Welcome to the daily MCQ session. Today is 28th of September 2021 and now we are going to discuss 5 MCQs which are important for the prelims because as prelims is very near. So the MCQs what we are giving are directly from the prelims point of view. So do make the best use of these MCQs so that you can gain maximum for the prelims. Okay. So let's look at the question which was asked yesterday, and yesterday's question was: consider the following statement about the Nagarhole National Park. First one, it is located in Karnataka. Second one, it is also known as Rajiv Gandhi National Park. And third one, Kabini River flows through this. The correct answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. The Nagarhole National Park, if you see, it is located in Karnataka. It is a tiger reserve, okay, and it is also known as Rajiv Gandhi National Park. So the second statement is also right, and the third statement, that is Kabini River flows through this Nagarhole National Park, this is also right. The correct option is D, which is 1, 2 and 3. And guys, as you know, daily we upload these MCQs, and these MCQs you can answer them in our Telegram channel, and also at the end of the day you can download this PDF which contain questions as well as the answers in a very detailed way. So this will be very helpful for your revision. So do check out Telegram channel whose details are there in the description. Now let's look at the first question. The first question is: the term blue economy, often mentioned in media, covers which of the following economic forms? First one, economy coping with the global water crisis. Second one, innovative development economy. Third one, development of marine economy. Here you have to choose the correct option. A 1 only, B 2 and 3 only, C 1 and 3, and D 1, 2 and 3. The correct option is D 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so the blue economy, it encourages basically the stewardship of ocean or blue resources. So blue resources basically is related to the marine economy, and the concept was introduced by Gunter Pauli in 2010. So it is the sustainable use of ocean resources for the economic growth, improved livelihood and ocean ecosystem health. So it's for the overall development of the people as well as the natural resources. So the blue economy covers 3 economic forms. First one is economy coping with the global water crisis. Second one, innovative development economy, and third one, development of marine economy. So all these 3 will be there. Now let's move on. Let's see the second question. Consider the following statements with respect to the cooperative movement in India. First one, the cooperative movement in India was born out of the distress and turmoil that prevailed in the last quarter of 19th century, such as rigidity of land revenue collection, uncertainty of rainfall, etc. Second one, Mahatma Gandhi's Phoenix settlement and the Tolstoy farm were the experiments in the field of cooperatives. Here you have to choose the correct answer. A 1 only, B 2 only, C both 1 and 2, and D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is C both 1 and 2. So recently the Ministry of Cooperation was formed, so that's why cooperative movement will be very important for the prelims this year. So the cooperative movement, if you see, it was originally brought out of distress and turmoil that the Indians faced. So formation of associations started way back in the late 19th century. Okay, so the cooperatives started, and if you see Gandhi's Phoenix settlement and Tolstoy farm, they were experimenting in the field of cooperatives as well. Okay, so several informal cooperatives existed back then in the name of Devarai, chit funds, curies, bishis, farts, etc. The first Cooperative Credit Society Act was passed in 1904, and it was later amended by the Cooperative Society Act of 1912. And the Phoenix settlement and Tolstoy farm are rehabilitative cooperative settlements which were started by Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa. After independence, cooperatives became an integral part of the 5-year plans. And if you see the constitutional provisions, the cooperative is basically a fundamental right according to Article 19(1)(c). It was added. The word cooperative was added by the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act after the word union and association. And even if you see the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011, it added a new part, that is Part 9B, right after the Part 9A, which is regarding to the municipals and with regard to the cooperative working in India. And this enables all the citizens to participate or to form cooperatives by giving it the status of fundamental rights. And a new article 43B was added in the Directive Principle of State Policy, which is Part 4, regarding the promotion of cooperative societies. So the cooperative societies can be found both in fundamental rights as well as the Directive Principles of State Policy. Right? Now let's move on. Let's look at the third question. This is with regard to the Swamitva scheme, the Swamitva Yojana. First one, it is a central sector scheme to promote for adoption of Indian children and to monitor and regulate in-country and inter-country adoptions. Second one, Minister of Women and Child Development is the nodal ministry. Here we have to choose the correct option. So Swamitva scheme, if you see, this is related to This is basically related to land survey. So both the statements are wrong. The correct option is D, neither one nor two. So Swamitva stands for Survey of Village and Mapping with Improvised Technology in the Village Areas. It is a central sector scheme, and if you see the basic aim, it aims to provide an integrated property validation solution for the rural India. It is a scheme for mapping of land parcels in rural inhabited areas under drone technology and continuous operating reference stations. The Ministry of Panchayati Raj is the nodal ministry. So remember, which is the nodal ministry for the Swamitva? It is the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. And the Survey of India is the Technology Implementation Agency. Now let's look at the fourth question. Regarding the taxation system of Krishnadevaraya, who is the ruler of Vijayanagar, consider the following statements. The tax rate on land was fixed depending on the quality of land. Second one, private owners of workshops paid an industry tax. So you have to choose the correct option. A 1 only, B 2 only, C both 1 and 2, and D neither 1 nor 2. So Vijayanagar ruler followed an oppressive taxation policy. The prosperity. So yeah, we have to choose the correct option. Sorry. So without telling you the answer, I went for the solution. So the correct answer, if you see for this, okay, for this question, the correct option is C, both 1 and 2, because both are right. Why? We'll see. Both 1 and 2, we'll see now. So Vijayanagar rulers basically followed an oppressive taxation policy. The prosperity of the empire can be explained through the taxation principle. It's a very rich empire, and the land tax was major source of revenue for the kingdom. And during the reign of Krishnadevaraya, the rate was fixed between 1/3 and 1/6 depending on the quality of the land. Besides land tax, there are also taxes imposed on shopkeepers, farm servants, workers, posters, shoemakers, and even the people who are begging also used to pay tax. The grazing and housing tax was also imposed. The commercial tax consists of levies, duties, customs, etc. on the manufactured articles, and also tax was levied on the trade as well. Okay, so if you see the first statement, the tax rate on the land was fixed depending on the quality of land. This is right, because as you know, as I said already, the tax was somewhere between 1/3 and 1/6 of the produce. And second one, the private owners of workshops also paid an industry tax. This is also right, as we have seen here already. The private owners also paid the industry tax, right? So this is all about this Vijayanagar Empire. And guys, Vijayanagar Empire, every year questions are coming. So read the Vijayanagar Empire very, very thoroughly. Okay. Now let's look at the fifth question. With reference to the cultural history of India, the memorizing of chronicles, dynastic histories, and epic tales was the profession of who of the following? A. Shramana, B. Pravirajaka, C. Agraharika, and D. Magadha. You have to choose the correct option. It's a previous year CSE question of 2016. The correct option is D. Magadha. So memorizing chronicles, dynastic histories, or epic tales was the work of different group of people, the Sutas and the Magadhas, who were the descendants of priestly families of the Vedic period. The Shramana means seeker, one who performs acts of austerity and ascetic. Agraharika means one who probably looked after the lands given in charity. The Parivrajaka literally means one who roams all about in the place. Okay, so this is all about these terms. So these terms are important directly from the exam because questions are directly coming. So just keep an eye on these kind of terms. Okay, now let's look at the question of the day. And the question of the day is, which among the following is not a Ramsar site? A. Pulicat Lake, B. Kiyolido, C. Loktak Lake, and D. None of the above. Do give your answer in the comment box, and tomorrow we will discuss this question. Okay, and guys, as you know, we are providing the summaries of Vision Prelims Test Series, Vision Mains Test Series, Vision Monthly Magazine, Vision PT 365. So as Prelims is approaching very fast, you can download these, or you can say you can subscribe to these Vision Prelims Test Series and Vision PT 365 summaries, because they are very important for the exam. So do make the best use of these initiatives. If you have any doubt, you can get back to us. You can get back to us via Telegram or via comments as well. Okay, so that's it guys from my side. I'll see you again tomorrow with 5 more MCQs. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.